Okay, so today we are going to be writing an I am poem. So last week we did a name vignette, and now we're doing an I am from poem. We're still focused on the overarching theme of our book, which is identity. And so last week we really focused on what is in a name, and now we're going to focus in where you're from and how is that a part of your identity. And so I'm going to go over this template, what the expectation is, and you are going to look at an example, and I'm going to show you how to actually complete it on the assignment. So this week, instead of doing it in the slides, some of us were really struggling with doing it in the slides, so hopefully that this is a little bit better. I'm still trying to figure out a way to make it work in the slides a little bit better. But for today, we're just going to watch this video, and you're going to have to open up this document to look at on your own by clicking on the link that follows this video. So let's go ahead and look at the I am poem. So we have the template here. And now a template is just something you follow. You're not writing on this. You're not filling this in. You're going to be writing this all out on a separate document, okay? So you're going to use this template to draft your poem. So you're going to say I am, and then in parentheses, you see underneath this line, it says specific ordinary item. From product named and product name. Now, this sounds really weird, but I promise once you put it all together and you look at our examples, it makes a lot of sense. So I am from, and you're going to think of something that is always in your home. Something maybe that's always in your grandparents' home, right? I would say I am little candies on the counter, right? Because my grandmother always had a glass bowl of little like hard candies. And then I would say from peppermints and strawberry, I don't even know what they're called. Strawberry lozenge? I don't know what they're called. The strawberry candies. I would have to look up the name of that and I would put it there. So that's something that you would do. So if we look at our example here at the bottom, it says, I am from clothespins, from Clorox and carbon tetrachloride. So all of these things are kind of related. So I get the idea that this person, Georgella Lyon, likely there's a lot of cleaning that happens in her house, right? Her house was always full. Maybe mom was always doing these things. And we have iron from bookshelves, from vinegar and green detergent. So maybe they read a lot, and we have the vinegar and green detergent, So these are things that were common in her home. So you're going to do that in yourself. What is something that is common that you always see in your home or your grandparents' house? And then name products that relate to that thing. Then you'll say, I am from the, and you will talk about your home description. Now, if we look at if we look at the examples, we see I am from dirt under the black porch, black, glistening, and tasted like beets. So they're talking about something that is familiar to her home. She's saying, I'm from dirt under the back porch, so there's always dirt under her back porch. Black and glistening, she's describing it. That's what adjectives are, two description words. And it tasted like beets. That is a sensory term. Now, sensory will refer to your five senses. Sight, smell, taste, touch, hearing. So you can use any of those senses for this part. This person over here said, I am from dog hair in every color, yellow, abundant, and the vacuum can never get it all. So I get the picture in my head of if I walked into her home, I would see these bookshelves and I would see some dog hair in the corner, right? And so you're going to continue to do this. And then the next line, if we look at it, says, I am from a plant, flower, or natural item. You will think of what kind of trees are in your yards. Maybe your mother or your grandparents or whatever, they have a garden or they have flowers in their yard. Pick one of those that is particular to you. If we look at this person, she says, I am from the forsythia bush, the Dutch elm. Okay, so she named the plant. And then she goes on to describe it, whose long gone limbs I remember as if they were my own. So she is reflecting on what these trees look like. They have long limbs, and she's saying as if they were my own, because remember, she's a child. She's looking back at, her life. She's thinking of a memory. Whereas this person here does it a little bit different. She says, I am from azaleas, the magnolia tree, whose leaves crunched under my feet like snow every fall. So this person, whose leaves crunched under my feet like snow every fall, they are just thinking about the trees and relating it to a memory of like an interaction with those particular trees. So hers is more literal. This one is more figurative, right? She's imagining the long limbs and she's comparing them as if they were her own. She's using some figurative language here. Whereas this person just straight up says, I just remember the leaves crunching under my feet, right? So whose leaves crunched under my feet. So do you see, one thing I want to point out here is they both start with this, whose. You want to try to follow this structure. So as you're writing it, you're going to be going back and forth. So you want to make sure you use kind of similar wording as they do. So when they say whose, you should write whose, because that is the proper way for the poem to be written. You put your own information here, but those types of words like these, pronouns and all of that, you want to go ahead and you want to, and adjectives, adverbs, you want to make sure you use those. Like the I, you want to start them off that way. Whose, we see whose right here, you want to use it. Okay, so you kind of want to try to follow that, that to a T, but you're putting in your own information. Now, where are you writing this is the question. Now, I'm going to show you my expectation for you to write this. I'm in a test math class, but it doesn't really matter because the assignments look the same when we open them, right? So I'm going to click on this assignment here. Sorry, a second. And I'm going to do all my little clicks on. So I'm going to click in to watch the video. I'm going to click to open up this because it'd be smart for me to have two screens. If you have a printer, print it out because that's even easier, right? But if you don't have a printer, you can simply go in between slides. That's okay. Now you're going to click add or create. You're going to click docs. You're going to create a Google document. It takes a second. All right, now, then I'm going to click on this Google document and I'm going to write in it. So I'm going to write, see how it has a name here. It puts your name and it says test exit ticket. Will hopefully say I am from poem. I'm going to try to make sure it does. But if it doesn't, as long as your name pops up there, that's all that matters. So you need to then type directly in here. My suggestion is we start with a title. So I'm going to center my text for the title. And I'm going to write, I am from. And you can be creative with your fonts, whatever you want. I don't care about that. Whatever you think reflects your personality and who you are, you can. And then I'm going to click this and get back to that. Actually, we'll stay centered. You just want to make sure you stay centered because it'll make the format of the poem look a little bit neater. And then you'll just type out your poem. Make sure each one of these components are points, so you don't want to skip anything. You can ask for help. You can look up a list of adjectives. So maybe I'm someone who I'm really struggling with description words. So all I have to do is click here and say list of adjectives. List of adjectives. And you will get a list of adjectives. You could click on different pictures. You can click on different links. Here, list of 288 common adjectives. And you can just scroll through. Do any of these adjectives help you with your writing? So use your resources. Once you're done, right, you'll hit X and then you'll see that it's still here. Everything's saved. So I'll show you what I mean by that. If I click here, so I'm checking your work, everything you wrote is going to be there for me. Okay. So once you write it on this document and you're done, you could just hit X because it's already here and saved. So I find this to be the easiest way, and hopefully you guys find it a little bit easier than copying and pasting that link. Once you're done, you click turn in, and you're good to go, and we will grade your your writing. Now, we are going to give you feedback directly on the Google document. So we might highlight something and we're going to tell you what we want you to change. You'll revise it, and pretty much if you do this assignment and you follow the directions, because this is a creative writing type of assignment, you're going to get 100. So you just need to follow the directions. You need to make sure that you include all parts of this template. Once we send you something to correct, just correct it, and the corrections don't say, okay, well, now you can only get an 85, because this is writing. It's a little bit different. I feel like it's a little bit harder to do completely independently without a teacher there to edit your work. You think about our essays. We always look over your stuff, give you feedback for you to go fix. So this is the same thing. We're going to give you some feedback, you fix it, and resubmit it, and you'll get that 100 if you needed any corrections. If you are given corrections and you never correct them, then your grade will be impacted at that point. But just doing the corrections and sending them back, you can still get 100. So take your time, do your best. If you have any questions, ask us in the private comment section. Have a good day, guys.